Welcome everybody here tonight. Will you join me for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please?
Kurt,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Here.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
He's here. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Laughlin. Is that correct? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Under public comment, the only one who signed in is Dan Callahan. If you will step forward to give us your name and address.
Hello, everyone. Dan Callahan, 122 14th Avenue Northeast. I just wanted to make it public that we're having the candidates forum Thursday, the 26th at 6:30 at the library. All the candidates will be there except for Karen Connell, and she left me a letter to read. She has some things to take care of out of town that day. So just putting it out there for everybody that's interested. We'll have the candidates answer questions put to them by the audience, and we'll go from there. Any questions?
We don't get any forewarning of any of these questions or anything?
No.
Okay.
Nope. We're still collecting them, so I couldn't give you a very good idea anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Next, I will need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: minutes of the October 9th, 2017 regular meeting, city financial statements for the month of September, budgeted transfers for the month of September, fire department financial statements for the month of September. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is approval of the claims.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Lenius,
Second.
seconded by Kurtz. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We can now pay our bills. Next on the agenda is Independence Police Department Officer Lau. Would you step forward, please?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Outstanding.
As far as the code enforcement goes, we've been finishing up on our last few properties, trying to get those taken care of before the weather changes. I did take on yet a new property here in the last couple weeks when I was approached, actually when I was off duty, by somebody who let me know of this property that had gotten really bad really fast. And I took a look at it, and it definitely needs attention before the weather gets too cold. So I've actually started on that one. That one's in the northeast, as well as another one that's in the northeast. That's my understanding that the person that owns both properties, and it's kind of junk that's kind of going between both of them. So we're going to try to get that taken care of also before the weather really changes. But then we're moving on to our looking for people that are putting the leaves and debris and stuff out in the roads, which is going to cause our storm sewers to obviously clog up, which we don't need. But kind of moving into that realm, and I don't want to say it, but before too long it'll be snow, and then we'll be dealing with sidewalks and stuff again. So other than that, I don't have much else new for the last couple of weeks, but just other than those properties, checking on normal complaints day to day.
When you go look at something, do you have them make out a written complaint before you investigate it, or just phone calls, or how does that work?
Obviously, they always have the option to come here to City Hall and fill out the written complaint form to get feedback that way. But if somebody comes up to me and they mention that, hey, I've noticed this property, or I've noticed this vehicle, as long as I have a phone number or know who they are, I look into it and I report back to them, so at least they're getting a little bit of closure or know what the problem is with that vehicle, if it is something that we can enforce, if it's a violation or not. Like today, I happened to see the same lady out today when I was off, and she asked me about that property. And I explained to her that, yeah, we're working on it. She said, well, he's been over there. He did take one load out today. So, I mean, most people in town know me, so I have no problem just making, giving them a phone call or stopping by to give them feedback. But, I do encourage people to stop in here and fill out the complaint form, because it is an easy way to get feedback, and it's documented through City Hall of what's being done for it. So
On support of Officer Lau, he's been really good about responding when I've given you information too, so that's
And
awesome.
Sometimes it might be a couple days, because I'm on my 2 days off, and I
Sure.
come back, and then I got a voicemail or an email, but I try to get on it right away and at least give you some feedback and let you know what we've done with it.
So you do get a name and number whenever you get a complaint so that you can respond to them and that type of thing?
I do if I take the complaint directly. Sometimes I get complaints when I come back from days off, there'll just be notes on my desk with the property address. And at that point in time, then I do investigate it, but I find out who the property owner is, or who's renting there, or who's responsible after I've got the address.
Okay,
So I usually keep that information.
okay, sounds good.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks a lot. Next on the agenda, a motion to approve amendment to the Lee Mansion Commercial Corridor Restoration Grant. You have that on your iPads as far as what we're doing. Leanne is here if you have any questions.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion from Hill, second by O'Laughlin. All those in favor say aye.
This is a roll
Aye.
call, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
Roll call, please.
You need a roll, okay, sorry. Roll call.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the Absolute Indy branding logo. And we have people
I
here
make
from
motion.
Absolute Indy. Okay, motion from Hill, seconded by
I'll second it.
Grover.
Is this going to continue? This is what, phase 1 or 2? Three.
You want to come forward in case, so people can hear you?
It's actually technically phase 3. So
Okay.
phase 4 would be Blue Space putting together the full guidelines, and then that's the final delivery of the product. So this is the last thing y'all have to approve before we get all of the guidelines.
I think the thing that probably confuses some of the council that weren't on is on the original sheet that I finally dug out, it does say Phase 1. It calls it Phase 1, but there's 4 parts to Phase 1. And this is the-
Phase 1 was the research, technically. Phase 2 was the positioning statement, so the Celebrate Our Spirit. Phase 3 is the logo. And then Phase 4 is their final deliverables to us. Hopefully that clarifies that.
And I think everybody got the cost breakdown from before, so that was approved by the council a couple of years ago now.
So there's still a fee for another phase yet?
It's already accounted for, but I think you've been paying in chunks as we go along as they settle each phase. That's how it was requested originally.
When
Right.
each one gets done, then we pay for that one.
But this is the last one that they have to vote on and to approve
Yes.
for it.
So once the logo is approved, we just let Blue Space know, so that way they can do all the deliverables at once and get those back to us.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Gina.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, motion to receive, file, and consider adopting the ordinance for the third time and final time for amending Chapter 40.08 disorderly house.
I'll make the
I'll make
motion.
a motion.
Motion from Lenius. Who else did I hear that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Both sides. Motion from Lenius, second by Grover. All those, or you need a roll call here? Yep, you need a
Yes.
roll call, please.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to receive, file, and consider adopting the ordinance for the third and final time for Chapter 41.13 fireworks amendment.
I'll move to.
Motion from O'Laughlin.
I'll second it. Oh, go ahead, John.
seconds?
No, give
Do you want
it to
one?
John.
You want to
Give it
arm
to
wrestle
John.
over it?
No, no,
No,
no.
I'm in
Give
the
it to
middle of
John.
John, it was.
John,
It was
who
Denny.
knows John?
Actually, all three of them
Danny.
said it at the same time.
We'll flip a coin.
Put Denny down first.
Put
Okay.
Denny down.
And do a roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Valenius.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next is, this thing is not working for me, so we'll see where we're at.
Airport Board.
Yeah. Going into, I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing in regards to Chapter 25 Airport Board.
So moved.
Motion by O'Laughlin, seconded by
Second.
Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Then I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by O'Laughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the Chapter 25 Airport Board public hearing. We had nothing that you received to city clerk? Received no notices of anything, calls, or,
I haven't received anything.
okay. Is there anyone that wants to speak to this event that's out in the audience? Any questions from any of the council members?
I had something I wanted to say. I'm trying to be real open-minded on this thing. As far as the formation of an airport board, my concern is, are we as a council overreacting because of a bad experience that we recently had? The airport functioned very well for over 30 years without any significant issues. Perhaps the recent issues were over-exaggerated, but that is in the past. Do we really need to reinvent the wheel or just find the right person as the airport manager? My fear is by micromanaging the airport, we will limit our chances of finding the right person. We have a fabulous facility that many candidates would love to have a chance to manage. I would like more council discussion on our options before we proceed. We're in the midst of a change of council representation, and their voices need to be heard, and they need to be able to make an informed decision.
Is this you putting that into record or somebody you read
That's
that
me.
from? Okay.
That is me.
Okay.
Can I
See, I think-
answer some of that?
Yeah.
One at a time? Yes?
This one?
The only thing I was going to say is, if we don't go with any kind of a commission, which, I understand, it's one more level. I do think that if the council is going to handle it, it has to be handled by a council of 7 and not by 3. I think that's where a lot of the problem comes, and I know that, we've talked about this for 3 or 4 years on all the committees, but, the committees really kind of dig into it, and then the other 4 kind of just come along, and the other 4 aren't really invested in it. I mean, I haven't really been invested in the airport for all of these 4 years, and so I think if we don't choose to have a commission, that it really has to be a full council who's involved in decisions. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you just kind of run into the same that we had. So that's all I had on it.
My concern is that we've experienced this in doing it with committees and doing it with the council. I think we need to get it out of the political part of it and actually do something that's an economic development situation that we need for our community. And I think it's better served. That's why we had the task force, and that's how they discussed all these different topics. And that's when they came up with their recommendation of a board and the resolution, so.
Can I? I have served on the airport committee for probably 9 maybe out of the 10 years I've been on city council. During that time, we have had council conflict back and forth. I think going clear back before my time when the decision was made to upgrade the airport, There was a lot of controversy. Some of you may remember this room being packed with people that didn't want to build the airport to the level that it is now. For a long time, the council, for whatever reason, and I think if Mr. Connell and Mrs. Connell were here, they would agree with it, that they were treated like second-class citizens. And then all of a sudden, the city council decided, city management decided the airport was important. And then we went into a huge building spree. We spent a lot of money. I know it was 90-10, 75-25, 80-20 percentage-wise, but during that time, we had council members that were upset about building. There were council members that wanted to build more. It's, you know, during the 8 to 9 years, it's been a political hot potato. And personally, I think this is a good way to take it out of the council. I've had people that have indicated they're running for the city council just because of the airport, because of their feelings one way or the other about what's happening or not happening at the airport. I personally think this type of a board gives some continuity to the airport, some long-range planning. We as a council, a couple of years ago, put a moratorium on any new construction out there. And with all of the bickering and everything that's gone on in the last 3, 4, 5 years, we've been unable to come up with a real good long-range plan for where we want to go with the airport. I think whoever would be the airport manager would prefer to have a board that knows about the airport, and I think it's going to be important on who the mayor appoints. I think you have to have people that know something about aviation and where aviation is going and what needs to be done. But I do think that for long-term purposes, and I know, Austin, you've been on the airport board with me for a long time, too. I think we need to get the politics out of the airport and get a group that's going to do some good long-range planning. We might not always agree with the light board, but they've done a great job. I think if we were trying to run the light plant from the city council, it'd be a disaster. We don't always agree with how the library does some things, or maybe some of the requests, but they have turned out a fabulous gem of a library for our community. And this is what I would like to see, this type of group that really has a desire and a want for the airport. And the council's not giving up its authority. We still will be voting on everything in the end on whether we're going to do something. From my experience, the airport has become a political hot potato, and I think this is a good way to take it out of that and get some people making some decisions in long-range planning. So that's my feeling.
Cole had a meeting the other night. Not too many people attended it, but sounds like he's doing a good job out there. We put him in out there. I'd like to hear what he's got to say if he's willing to come up and talk.
Hello, Council. Mayor Davis.
Name, address, for
Cole.
the record.
Okay. Cole Norton, PNN Flight and Charter, based in Marion, Iowa. So far, I think everything has gone as well as it could have or can go. I've talked to almost all of the tenants at the airport, including the Connells and Bachman, et cetera. And it's kind of, I'm surprised how much I've been left out of the dramatics of it. And I come back to you now saying I'm not exactly sure what the issue was. I'm not trying to dig into that, but it's just been going extremely well. I don't think there's anyone that's wanted fuel that hasn't been able to get it. We've gotten tenants back that had previously moved. There's people that haven't bought fuel in over a year that are buying fuel again. You know, we've done some airplane rides. We had a meeting with the tenants. Could have been better about getting more word out to that. Some council did come, but that was just by chance. A lot of positive feedback. I've reached out to everyone that we can so far. I'm going to be bringing the Connells and airplane to do maintenance on. Trying to think what else. I'll be leasing an airplane from one of the tenants for the flight school. Everyone's kind of getting settled into their roles. I did look at this airport board, chapter 25. That one thing makes me nervous, just some wording to look at. Powers and duties of the airport board. The board shall hire an airport manager to oversee operations. Airport manager may be a person or entity. And then removal of personnel. Then again, this is in their powers and duties exclusively. It doesn't say anything about council. To remove the airport manager by a 2/3 vote of the board. So if there's only a few people on the board, that's only a few people making a lot of decisions. But correct me if I'm wrong, whether that gets run by council or not.
Well, I think to answer part of that, the light plant board has the same control over the manager and staff of the light plant. I mean, there's just a 5-member board for the light plant. You know,
It's my understanding that that also mirrored library board ordinance as well. I think that's how theirs is worded too.
Right.
I
That's
think
where
you get
some of that
more-
wording came from, is for
Sure.
other.
I just
commissions or
don't
board.
understand it
Yeah.
completely, but.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing I might ask, have you had to make any decisions yet?
Have what?
Have you had to make any decisions yet? Did you have any crop dusters parking certain places or loading in any way?
No, that'll be in the
Have you had to
summer.
plow snow? Has there been ice?
No.
I'm
No
only
snow
saying
yet.
that because I'm glad things are going well now, but
Yep, understood.
But you've
Yep.
done some mowing out there, right?
Yeah, we've gone ahead and, although it wasn't part of the agreement, some things just needed to be done, so we've just gone ahead.
And how many,
did-
how many hours a day or a week are you doing now for your agreement that you had with us?
Oh, right now, we're doing definitely more than we agreed to. I don't know how many.
But not 24/7, which an
It's not.
airport manager will be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Well,
Okay.
Denny and I and Deb did attend that meeting, and it was excellent meeting. We had a lot of good feedback from some of the tenants, and it was
Yep.
really quite interesting. I think we got a lot out of it, and I think you got a lot out of it. too.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely wanted to meet some of the people that we're working with.
Yeah. It was a good meeting.
It was.
Well, going back to what Bob said, whether it's the commission does work, that approach does work very well at the other places. For 4 years now, and I think this is part of the problem, and it goes right to the core of things. If you're not deeply involved with it, if you're not part of that 3-person airport board, you kind of come in and you really don't care. Maybe don't care is a little bit exaggerated, but you're not invested in it. And whether it turns out to be the full council or a commission, a board, and a board really does seem to work very well at the other places.
I'm not saying a board's good or bad. Cities
Yeah.
go all kinds of directions. But I think it was you that said that it should be people that are knowledgeable about aviation. There's a cap on only 2 pilots can be on the board. or two pilots or people invested.
People who.
Invested in
you-
the airport,
yeah.
so it could be, you could end up with two non-pilots potentially on the board.
You know something, you end up with people,
Yep,
some of the people on the light and power board
yep.
don't know anything about, TV or stuff like that too. So that's.
I'm not speaking either
the-
way. It's
The
just a
purpose of a
concern.
board really isn't to load it with all experts, because then you kind of have another problem.
Haven't we had boards that didn't work either? Didn't Parks and Rec have a board once, and what happened to that?
But that was one that just gave advice. They had no power to do anything. That's why that didn't go any further.
And if we vote on this today, we don't even know who the 5 people are, is that right?
You
We're not
will,
voting on the
you
people.
will only be voting on this for the first time. This has to go through 3 times. This is the public hearing for it. And we can't even look at who would be on that board until after it's passed and becomes a resolution. So,
Please let me know if there's anything that you're hearing that we can improve on right away to keep things going.
Thank you, Cole.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cole.
Thanks.
anybody else that had anything they wanted to say? Name and address.
I'm Max Movich from Independence, and I was on the task force for the airport board. First, to clear a few things up, I did a little research before we really started talking about this, and with municipalities the size of ours that had airports, we were the only one that didn't have some kind of governance that, such as an airport board. That in the surrounding area. I mean, everybody else has a board, like a library board, a power and light board. It seemed kind of strange when I was, looking at our structure, and we never had one. So, going off of that, I looked at other things, and I think what we all came up with a group was a pretty good thing. If there's any questions about, the way we structured it, I'd be happy to answer right now. I mean, I know that he's probably fearing for his job because the board has the power to, well, if you read into it, the board makes recommendations to the council for hiring and firing. The board doesn't actually do that.
Right.
Just like any other board. So, just like the board makes recommendations to build a hangar, the council still has to approve that. So, what other questions can I try to answer for you?
I was going to say, because in the end, we're the ones who sign the contract with them, which means we have to approve the contract or approve the voiding of the contract, so. In the grand scheme of things, it'd be the council that'd make the final decision on any kind of firing or hiring.
I can see where Cole had a question on that, because it
Yeah.
does look pretty ambiguous in here that it's the board that has all the power to hire and fire people.
But I
That may
think,
need to be clarified in our
I
ordinance.
think the people that are going to be on this board also are going to be smart enough to know that if you fire somebody, somebody has to still be there to take over, and they're not going to just do it on a whim. There's going to have to be a good reason before they do that.
His comments, there aren't very many cities that don't have a board, but I just wanted to bring that to you, like, this is how it looks to most people, so that's all.
Actually, we had a board at one time. There was a commission, airport commission, and they disbanded.
Commissions are usually for a larger airport, something more like the size
Well,
of
it's,
Cedar Rapids.
it's all in the terminology.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the
It's
same.
governance.
Same thing. And they disbanded and give it to more or less give it to the city council to manage. That's how we actually got it in the first place.
Mhm.
Because I know several people was on that board. I worked for one of them. So,
I think the long and the short of it is, it hasn't worked very well with the city council being in charge.
so it didn't work
And
either
whether
way.
we,
It was a long
I
time.
mean, we may be completely wrong with going with the board, but
Well, this,
continuing to do what we've done,
yeah,
I mean, it's the definition of insanity.
right.
And so, well, it is.
Yeah.
It takes the burden off the council to do the day-to-day governance of the airport.
Yeah.
You know,
Let me clarify, we're not laughing at you guys, we're just not clicking the pen
He was
anymore.
clicking his pen, and she handed him one that didn't have a clicker, so
And
that's.
we've been warned not to do that, interferes with that.
Just
TV
want to
line.
clarify, we weren't. giggling.
Sorry.
wow.
And Tom, I have made
We
the
might be
comments
slightly
several
like
times.
squirrels.
I do not want to have to try and manage an airport, city council. I
Right,
think
You don't.
you need an airport manager, and if we decide we want a board, then that's the way it needs to be. But as a council, I really don't want to have to do day in, day out management of the airport. We've got too many other things going on.
You want people that have a vested interest in it, either from the community or that are tenants or pilots. You know, you don't want to have an airport board that's all tenants and pilots. You don't want an airport board that's everybody, you know, everybody's from the city. You want a balance there. But cities flip, you know, is writing the check for the airport, you know? So you kind of want more people from the city than from the airport, you know, as a tenant. And, you know, there's a lot of farmers who fly and everything, so you don't want to eliminate them. You want to have at least one of those from the surrounding community on the board. So that's why we set up that in that way.
And this was a level so the council didn't have to deal with the day-to-day and all those
Right.
kind of situations,
Right, it's
but
not so
still
much
didn't lose,
micromanagement
right,
as it is management on the lowest level.
right. Yeah, so,
Seems
thank
to
you.
me if we have a good airport manager, we don't need the board.
But that airport manager keeps have to come back to the council as a whole, where this way he has a board as a buffer, or
Yeah.
somebody to deal with on the day-to-day
But the
stuff. It
buffer
hasn't,
between the airport
doesn't have to
manager
keep
and
coming back
council.
to the council.
If you get somebody on the council who just wants to bury the manager, well, there's a buffer, to prevent that from happening, or vice versa, you know?
Thank you.
Yep,
Very much.
I
Any other
agree,
questions?
thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for being on the board, Tom.
If there's no other discussion, then I will need a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Motion for O'Laughlin, seconded by
I'll second it.
Kurtz. One of the three, I guess. Roll call, or no, we don't need a roll call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Now I need a motion to receive, file, and consider adopting the ordinance for the first time.
I was not on the committee, didn't know what the committee would have was going to come up with. This is what I would have suggested had I not been on the committee, so I'm going to make the motion.
Okay. Motion by Hill,
I'll second it.
second by O'Laughlin, and we'll need a roll call, please.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
No,
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No,
Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a public hearing for urban renewal. So I need a motion, trying to find my notes here. Motion to receive, file proof, publication of notice of public hearing for urban renewal project.
So moved.
Motion from Hill, seconded by
I'll
Second.
Kurtz.
We're just all about trying to talk over each other tonight.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
Make the motion.
Motion from Grover,
Second.
second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the, and is this where you want to come up, George? Because I think you were going to help with this, or had our information on this.
You?
Yeah, George Lake, Director, Buchanan County Economic Development. And what you have before you is a development agreement between a business that is looking at building a new enterprise in the city limits of Buchanan County and between the city itself. And this is the proposal is that through tax incremental financing, that after property taxes are paid, this is new tax money, it's not taking any money from the existing tax base, that once the entity is built, and we don't know if it's going to be built. We don't know the value of the business that is going to be built. But what it does, it takes a base value of what it is right now, which is around $42,000. And then any new property taxes that are generated upon that, a percentage of those taxes will be reimbursed back to the company after they pay their taxes. And this is a very standard, actually, this is the single most powerful tool that a city has to encourage economic development within their community. And the thing to reiterate it, it doesn't take any money from the existing tax base. And I think I can speak with some authority that this is needed for this company to establish itself in town. I know X number of years ago, when Walmart first built on the west side of town, rumors were amok that the city gave them hundreds of thousands of dollars to build. They got nothing. When Walmart built their new entity south of town, they got nothing. And so, but with this situation here, being able to provide some financial support to the business by reimbursing new tax dollars back to them to encourage that company to expand their operations. And
Thanks, George.
I think you did a good job, George, but you got ahead. This is, all we're doing is amending the urban renewal district, so then we can talk the next
Oh, I was
one.
looking at the wrong proposal.
But we're all on board with you, so.
We know
Yeah.
what you're saying.
All right,
Yeah,
good.
But thank you.
But you're prepared for our next one, so when it comes up.
Yeah.
Now we're.
Well, yeah, and
Now we're
also,
prepared.
it helps for the public. It helps for the public to hear this as well.
Yeah.
From the standpoint, because TIF can be confusing. And, if I'm not talking myself into a box here, a prime example is the Monsanto facility that did not develop. At one point, southwest of town, Monsanto was going to establish a $90 million processing facility. And the city had a tax incremental financing agreement with them. It never happened. And so rumors were running amok, and I was hammering them down when they were popping up, that the city had given Monsanto hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they left town in the middle of the night and left us high and dry. Monsanto got not a penny from the city of Independence because the project never developed.
Yeah. And our hearing is strictly for us to amend the urban renewal plan itself. So you may come back up in a minute. We
Thanks.
don't know. We'll see.
If you need me, Bonnie, give me a holler.
We'll call you at home.
And you didn't get any kind of written or things either for this?
I haven't received anything on this plan amendment, no.
Okay. Any other questions anybody has?
No.
Then I ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
You got her.
Motion from Grover, seconded by
Second.
Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now we're going on to number B, public hearing, proposed development agreement with Independence Investment LLC. Now, does this have to go into hearing too?
No,
also?
this one we're voting on now, Mayor.
At the end of this one? Okay.
We're voting on amending the urban.
I don't know why
renewal.
this is in three different stages to me.
I'll make the
We
motion.
had to move the
Motion.
urban renewal area to the, development's going to take place first and now.
Okay.
I'll
So we
make
need
the
a motion to receive and file proof of publication and notice of public hearing first. That's what you're making your motion on.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now we need a motion to hold the public hearing for this part of it.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Lennius.
I'll second
Seconded
it.
by O'Laughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now we are in public hearing for the proposed development agreement with Independence Investments LLC. And we have somebody here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matt Halber on behalf of Independence Investments and
Okay.
Rydell Auto. I wanted to introduce myself to all you folks. Haven't had a chance to meet you yet. We are interested in building a new dealership out on Highway 20 and Highway 150. We feel it's a great location for an auto dealership, and we also feel it'll do a lot to bring just visibility and a welcoming view to the town of Independence. So we've been here for 2 years now. We bought the existing Pinnakin Ford dealership in 2015 in July, and have enjoyed every bit of being over in Independence. We love the town, we love the people. The airport deal is about the only bad thing I've heard since we've been over here, so.
You might be able to utilize that more when we get
So-
done.
Might put you on the board.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
So if any of you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you, or,
What's the plan for the existing Rydell dealership?
we don't know yet. We're still throwing around some ideas for that. We're either gonna utilize it for another business, or we'll sell it.
Well, I see you've got a lot of construction going on.
Yes, well, we had a fire, that you guys heard. And we've just gotten through our entire insurance claim, and we're putting new insulation in the entire building, repainting everything, resealing everything. We want it to be a good building, whether we use it or whether we sell it. So we're just finally getting to doing that, so that would be why we have trailers out front, and we're moved out currently.
Well, I think you've already expanded that area, so the other competition's already got cars on display out there.
Yeah, oh, no, yeah, well, we
that's
just moved some vehicles out there
Yeah.
last week, so, it's a great business climate here in Independence. Like I said, we love doing business over here. The city's great, the people that live here are great, so, we just want to do more of it.
Thank
Do
you.
you plan on having more jobs available?
Yes, it will create jobs, absolutely.
Like how many do you know?
I'd say minimum 10 it will create if we go forward with this project. We're landlocked now. We need to do something different. We brought the Chrysler franchises back to town almost a year ago now, 11 months ago. Just with that volume and the amount of service work that we're doing now, we're at a point where we need to do something different.
I think you picked a great location.
Well, thank you. Any questions from anybody else? Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. Any other comments? Then I will make a motion, I need a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Grover,
Second.
second by Laughlin, Kurtz, whoever. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now, my agenda shows we go into a resolution to approve the urban renewal plan amendment for the Independence Urban Renewal Area. Is our next step then. Now is when
Make that motion.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
I'd like to comment. I think it's important for the public to know, as George mentioned, and he's entirely correct, many times there are misconceptions about the amount of money or the amount of involvement the city or the county, any public entity has in these projects, especially regarding TIF. And looking at this online here, I'm seeing that the total amount will not exceed $300,000. And that will come back in the form of new revenue, not in the form of existing tax revenue. So people that are watching, it's important for people to understand that as well.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, a good way to look at it right now is, say right now we're making $10 off of that property. I know that's an extremely small number, and it doesn't actually really equate to the amount we're making off that property. But it's a nice round number to work with. So right now we're making $10 off of it. They add another $100 of value to it. We're still making that $10 off of it, and they're still paying, over the course of time, a small percentage of that $100 that they're adding on to it. And it's gradually increasing until they wind up not getting their, a percentage back from what they're paying in.
In
So
reality,
it's-
over a period of time, it pays for itself.
It really does. It's not costing us anything over what we would be making now, and it's allowing a business that otherwise, like you said, is currently landlocked, and it's creating new jobs, which means drawing more people into Independence and providing us with a larger business to help grow the city.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second on the floor. So would you like to do a roll call on this resolution, please?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we have a resolution to assess property owners for Chapter 52 mowing.
You skipped
Failure
one.
to comply.
We have to do the development agreement now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the next one?
Yep.
Okay, I missed that one in the middle. Okay. Motion to approve a resolution to approve a development agreement with Independence Investment LLC authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Grover,
Second.
second by Hill. Since we pretty much discussed all this.
Well, one thing I think we do need to comment on, I know in talking with City Manager Roeder, who's not here tonight, this is kind of, some people out there may be saying, well, we've got the cart before the horse. But we are in negotiations, we have worked hard, we've got several entities that are, I think, are very, very close to allowing us to extend Enterprise Drive east across 150. And I think this is an important factor to do at this time because it does show the company that the city is supportive of their project out there and that we will get these other things taken care of and we will get that. We want to put in a more of a sweeping access on the east side of 150 so that you don't have bumper cars going on out there between Casey's and Rydell's and whoever, because there's another 300 some acres that can be developed eventually for tax purposes. So that's we still have some things to work on, but I think this really tells them that the city's supportive of their efforts. And so I just wanted to say that we're probably doing this earlier than we normally would, but this is kind of an interesting situation.
Okay. We're ready? Do a roll
No,
call.
I think he wants to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I wanted to clarify one thing. We have 14, there's 14 acres there that this road is going to access. We're only going to use 4 to 5 acres of that for a car dealership. And there will be additional development
Right.
in addition to that. So we're not going to use all 14 acres for what
Yeah,
we're doing.
not right at this moment.
Not at this moment, correct.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to
Potentially
clarify.
down the road, more jobs, more,
Yes.
more
Yeah.
Oh,
taxes.
yeah, I mean,
This one project's opening up the
It's opening up
area
14
to
acres of
more
Yeah.
businesses.
4 or 5 of
so.
which that we'll use, then the rest can be
Exactly.
utilized
Yeah.
moving forward, so.
So you guys only got 4 or 5 acres bought then?
Oh, we have 14 acres
You
bought,
bought for the 14.
yeah. So, and that's what we're requesting the TIF on.
Right. And what we're looking at moving that, we're only going to put in Enterprise Drive back to the east edge of Casey's back in there on their property. But we'll have water and sewer at that point, and then whenever the development continues east, that whole area will not be landlocked and it'll be available for other development, prime area out there. So they kind of have opened the door for us to unlock this area out there. So it's a good deal for us.
You bet it is.
And we'll also be granting an easement to the city
Right.
for the road to keep moving forward as businesses move in, so,
Great. I think it's going to be good.
thank you.
Thank you. Now, can I have a roll call?
Ready?
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
I think we did have some discussion, probably more than normal, but going back to what George had said, hopefully we've alleviated first 100 rumors at the coffee shop tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
We'll get to
sure
the
about
next
that,
100
Bob?
later.
Danny, you're just going to be the one that starts them all.
Okay, let's move on. C, now I need a resolution to assess property owners for Chapter 52 mowing, failure to comply.
So moved.
Thank you, guys.
Second.
I believe
John-
this will
John
be our
started
last
it.
one.
Then I
Hope so?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion from Kurtz, second by Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call. You want a roll call on this one?
Start with Denny. Start with Denny.
She's already got
I
it,
guess she
yes.
does.
I will start with you. Vaughn,
You still on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Elenius.
Yes.
I feel like I've lost control. Thank you. Motion is carried. Moving on to new business. Rush Park liquor license. Need a motion to approve or deny Rush Park Class C Commercial and Sunday Sales liquor license October 21st, 2017 through October 20th, 2018.
I'll make the motion
Motion from
second it.
Hill, second by
to approve the license.
approve. Well, because I did say approve or deny.
You did.
Motion to approve,
Yes.
second by Vaughn. Any other discussion?
I would ask that Chief Dallenbach provide some advice and consent.
Most liquor licenses that we come across usually don't have a problem. There's been a few issues that we've been out to Rush Park with some disorderly conduct out there. But not enough to, I think, stop the liquor license that's out there. I just say that we definitely keep an eye on it, and if it continues to be any more than what it has been or gets any worse, and they don't start cleaning things up there, then we either revoke it or we don't approve it for the next time. If we decided not to at this time, I think they could go around us to the state and get it approved anyway, since there hasn't been a significant issue out there, but most of the places that we have don't have any fights, don't have any disorderly conduct there, where this one, I believe there's been 4 in the last year, if I remember right.
And they've been put on notice that they need to clean their act up.
It's definitely, that we'll definitely address with them if you guys approve it, so that they will take care of it.
Right, and we thought too at the meeting, public safety meeting, this, as Chief Dallenbach said, would help us if we had to deal with the state, that we're giving them the opportunity to clean up what's going on, and if they don't, then I think the state would be more willing to listen to us if we,
There's not many places that we have ever revoked or not given a liquor license. I know Majestic was it for a period of time.
we did a
Couldn't serve out there.
6-month once.
Yep, 6 months out of there, and the lady that owns Rush Park now, if I remember correctly, worked out there at that time, or knows about it, so it knows that the city can do that, so.
But you don't really want to discourage them not to call the cops if they need to.
Correct, well, somebody will call us, usually if something happens, either to passerby or somebody not involved, still call us anyway. It just, better patrol of your patrons, make sure they're not drinking, having too much to drink. I mean, they're at a bar, they are gonna drink, but if they get overly intoxicated where they start causing problems, it's best that they get themselves a ride home and not drive.
Okay, thank you. We do have a motion and a second to approve the liquor license for Rush Park. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Last on the agenda is a motion to approve the reclassification of accounts payable, accounts receivable, the clerk position to associate clerk, and approve the job description outlining such position.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from
second it.
Lenius, second by Kurtz. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you. We're down to reports. I don't know that there was any committees that needed reports. Anything from Watershed, John, that you need
No.
to bring up?
It's the meeting.
But I missed it too.
I know.
Oh, okay.
It does bring up one thing, though. Something that you need to think about is with me going off the council. John participates because of the other group, officially, I think,
Yeah.
or as a
Well,
kind of an at-large, or a citizen of interest. I was the representative from the council, and with me going off the council, you'll want to put somebody back on, and I would recommend John.
Okay, because appointments would be made in January, so if there's that interest, hopefully that'll happen.
That'd be fun.
Okay, thank you. Dustin, you're the only staff person or department head I see here, unless anybody's hiding. If you want to come back up again.
Nope, just me. Good evening. I know it's been a couple weeks since here, and a lot of stuff has happened in a couple weeks. City Week was a good turnout. With my department and with everything that we have going on, I don't really encourage people coming through our department because of cases and stuff that are going on. So what they were able to do is actually have a time where we could bring our squad cars up to the fire department, so the people that looked through the fire department also looked through our squad cars, got to talk with me and explain to them what we do and see the equipment and stuff that we have. There's about an hour tour for them, half hour with the fire department, half an hour with myself. Great turnout for the kids that we had. Really enjoyed it. I had one parent comment saying that I showed them our tasers, how they worked, the amount of volts that go through them. I made sure I took the cartridges out before I actually turned it on to make sure it wouldn't shoot anywhere. Kids really enjoyed the way that it sparked and the way that they looked. I explained to them that our officers must be tased, must be pepper sprayed before they carry that tool on there with them while they're working. A parent reached out to me and really thought that was good that I have my officers go through it so they know what it feels like. So if they get into a situation, if they're going to use it, that they have to be ready for it. So, but other than that, it was a really good turnout for that. For training this last week, we did rifle certification. I have to work on 3 people. The rest of our department is all certified in rifles. One didn't make it, and the other 2 needed a little more work, but we'll get through them. They don't have any issues. I just think they were tired. They worked 3rd shift, so they were kind of exhausted when they came out. So we had WatchGuard come down to our department here the other day. They're the ones that do our in-car cameras. We discussed with them the possibility of upgrading our body cameras to integrate with our car cameras. We're still in the process of that, and I'll be bringing that to the committee here, hopefully as soon as I can get more information on what the cost is going to be compared to what we have from forfeiture monies in our CIP left over. On the 20th of this last Friday, the high school got a hold of me. Justin Puts out there wanted to have a law enforcement appreciation at the football game. So they had me set up 3 different officers to walk out onto the field. 1 sheriff's department, 1 for us, and 1 for the state patrol. I actually went to the football game just as a patron, not actually as in law enforcement. State patrol officer couldn't make it, so another deputy stepped in place. But it was Deputy Hartman with the sheriff's department, Deputy Ward with the sheriff's department, and Officer Cornwell walked out onto the field, and they introduced them and had pictures taken. And I have one. It should be up on our Facebook page. I asked Katie to do it this morning while she was at the office, so hopefully it got. So if I didn't get a chance to look at it, I've been really busy today. This next week, or actually this week, tomorrow I have 2nd shift. The Girl Scout troop, 4th graders have asked to have one of the officers stop out to meet with the troop, just kind of go over, because they're going through a detective and law enforcement badge. So work with us on some of the things they have. I set that up with 2nd shift when I left tonight. So they were going to give them a call and see what they needed, what they wanted to be a part of, what they were looking at, so that they can set that up tomorrow. I just found out today, but luckily we have 2 people on 2nd shift that really are interested in it and want to be a part of it. So, and then on the 31st, so Halloween, I've been asked to have an officer stop out to talk to 4-year-olds at Kidsville. Officer Lau is willing to do that, and if I'm not busy that morning, I was going to go with him, so they might have 2 of us instead of just 1. I really like going to see the kids and having an interaction with them. I know I did it with my daughter before, so she was there. But yeah, no, we've had a lot of different things going, and excited for Halloween to come by, and so a lot more things to happen.
Okay.
Any questions or anything for me? Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, I'm going to let you start tonight. Do you have anything to report?
Don't have too much. Carter's in Ankeny. It's a physical therapy outfit there. So
You need to get closer to your mic.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry.
I said Carter got transferred to Ankeny. He's doing physical therapy there. He's improving. Optimistic about his cognitive ability. Seems to be okay. The physical part, they don't really have a timeline for that in terms of how quickly he's going to progress, but they're hoping that speeds up now that he's getting consistent physical therapy. So, yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah, yeah. We're optimistic, so.
And I think Al said that you will still be coming the second meeting. You may not make the first meetings of the next 2 months, but you will be
Right.
here for the second one. So
Yeah,
we still
so
have
I've,
that. And still have contact with you if anything comes up
Yeah,
when we need.
we're confident we can still handle the load. If that changes, I told Al that I would let him know, but my regular gig was Fairbank, so they'll get me on the off meetings, and then you guys will get me on the second ones of the month.
Okay.
And then, I mean, as a city, you're not under an obligation to keep us, so, if we slack off, but I'm not anticipating that happening. I
You
think
study under Carter then?
He trained him well, didn't he?
Yeah, but, no, we're just gonna keep throwing hours at it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Is there for like get well cards or anything, can we just send them to the office or?
Yeah, that's actually, Heather and then Carter's wife, Shelley, worked it out that way that, basically, someone from the office is generally making a trip up there. I'll be going this coming weekend, stopping through on the way back. So, yeah, so anything that comes to the office, we make sure that gets over to him.
So that could be that'd be our contact. We want to send anything or do anything that way.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The prognosis looks better than a few weeks ago?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you kind of hope for the
Long
best,
road.
fear the worst, but yeah, no, I think he's in a better place. So.
Good.
Not in the way that phrase is normally used. Jeez.
Not the quite words.
I'm not a doctor, so. Yeah.
John, I'm going to let you start with council members.
First thing, we've been out to the dog park several times with our dogs, and it's being well received. We were out there yesterday afternoon, and there were actually 6 dogs in the park all at the same time. Everybody got along great. It's functioning really well, and I just want to thank everybody for their support on that. The other thing is, I've had 4 calls in the last 10 days about loud music coming from vehicles, specifically the big thump-thump basses. And in talking with the police department, they say if we can get a description of the vehicle and a license plate number and maybe even a description of what the driver looked like, they can maybe pursue it. But unless they have that, it's pretty hard to do anything. So I just urge citizens to, if they have that irritation coming along, let them know. And I had one come by the house, and he was a block and a half away and was rattling my windows.
Wow.
And I was working at the store the other day, and the same thing happened at the store. So, and we're set back pretty far from the street, so it's an issue, and it's probably a small number that are doing it, but it's a problem. So,
Didn't we pass an ordinance with the sound for parking lots at one point? Would that carry over to this?
Well, you'd have, the state code has one for audible, for the loud cut from the cars to start with, but you also have our own city ordinance, like disorderly house or just disturbing the peace type thing. If you're sitting in one place, it's different from driving, so they wouldn't mirror the same. So, but yeah, we'd have to be able to, catching them is the hardest part. You can give us a vehicle, you can give a description, we might be able to catch that vehicle, but were they driving it? Or were their nephew, their brother, who was driving it at the time? If it's right then and there and we're in the area, that's great. If we hear it ourselves, that's even better yet. It's just really hard to catch somebody that does something like that. So we can do the best we can, and we'll pursue the case, especially if we know one person drives that vehicle and that one's it. We'll pay attention to that one more, and maybe we'll catch it on a different day that is doing it compared to the day that it gets reported to us. But we'll still keep up with what we can. So.
Do we need to think about changing the ordinance to kind of like the disorderly house, that if you own the car?
I said, I have to talk to the city attorney and look our
Yeah,
ordinance over.
the closest thing that they have to that right now, and that's not a great example because they're in a bunch of hot water with the state, would actually be traffic cameras. You just basically make it strict liability for the owner. If they're allowing the vehicle to travel through those areas at that speed, then they're liable. It doesn't go to the DOT or anything like that. But that's the issue that you would run into, is there actual culpability? And that's the challenge that still needs to be made on traffic cameras, is most of those laws create a presumption against the owner. No one's ever actually fought one of those by saying, no, I wasn't in the car, and taking it all the way up. So you'd have similar problems. But typically what you see with sound ordinances, there's some that are decibels, and then others that are basically easier to prove. And one of the things is, if it's vibrating a residence, then disorderly conduct is normally the way you do it, but then you still have the same proof problem. So, I don't know, calling it in, being active about it, and then public education that, hey, people have been loud, keep your radios down. That's going to be the typical way to address it.
Well, I'm sure it's really hard for an officer to catch somebody because they see a black and white, they probably turn the radio down.
If they know we're in the area, they definitely do.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you get that wave to kind of hide the seatbelt not wearing. I mean, whenever they see a black and white, most people sit up straight and grab the steering wheel with both hands. So it's just the way they are. They see an officer and they look in their mirror twice just to make sure they're not turning around. Even though they didn't do anything wrong, they still are looking in the mirror to make sure they didn't do anything. So it's just, you see a black and white car, it happens. Yep, but we'll still do the best we can, try to catch it.
That's all I've got.
Robert?
Yeah, that same thing what John said, that I don't get a lot of calls, but I've gotten the calls on the noise. But it's good to be back in town. Spent 2 weeks in Des Moines watching a tween and 2 other grandchildren, and I'm ready to be back. And talking about the dog park, they do have a large dog, and she did run on me twice. I wish I would have had the dog park to take her to and let her run all day. But otherwise, the only other thing, I did have a couple of people call me. Apparently, they had observed someone picking up their dog's dog waste, and throwing it in the storm sewer outlet. And if somebody does do that, please think twice. If you buy my house, just knock and I'll give you a bag or something. But, so, kind of common sense, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Deb?
Yeah, on the dog park, we've had pretty good usage. We are encouraging people, if they're going to use it, to stop at the Falcon Center, buy a pass, get a 3-day day pass, get a hold of us committee members or something, we can get the passes to you. And also about cleaning up after yourself out there. It's been a little bit of an issue, I don't think too bad, but we encourage people to clean up. The bags are there, the garbage is there. Don't have to use the storm sewer. And then Dustin, do we have an ordinance to take care of that out there yet, if they're not abiding by the rules that we have set?
Well, the ordinance that are set up for the city would govern what's also in the dog park. So allowing your not picking up after your dog, there is an ordinance on that.
Okay.
So yes, whatever we have for city ordinances would govern the same thing over.
I think you're more concerned about the use, though, aren't we?
Well, both, I think.
Yeah.
So what, we need to get a license plate if they're not, we've had some committee members out there, and people aren't using it, and they've kind of gotten belligerent. And we do have license plates.
Yep.
For those people.
Yep, get us the information on it. We can talk to them. The first step we can consider also looking at is if they're not following the rules, revoking their pass that they have if they have one.
That's been the problem. They didn't have a pass. And,
Okay. Then yeah, get us to us, and we'll have to figure out where we can go from there. So.
okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Well, the annual pass is only $25, so
Yeah.
it's really very reasonable, so shouldn't be a big deal.
Yep. We'll just have to see what we can do with it.
Thanks. That's it.
Mike?
I have nothing.
Oh, wow. Danny?
Yeah, I had a constituent write me a letter the other day, and it was such a rare event, I made a copy for everybody. Really, all of this is kind of self-explanatory and no problems till you get down to the bottom. Bottom of it said the city had hired a crew to down some trees on their terrace, and pretty much in the process, they damaged their sidewalk. Now, we're making them fix the sidewalk. Maybe this is something not to talk about tonight, but it's something to think about until we have a workshop or something, but it sort of presents a problem in my mind. If it wasn't their fault, why should they pay for it? You know? Anyway, that's all I got.
Okay. Austin?
Nothing tonight.
Mike?
But there's a lot of good things happening in town. I'm glad to see that we're moving forward with things like the development south and so forth. Still have some concerns from the Public Works on what we're going to find once they get the 2 manholes in with the sewer line that goes under the river, but that's about the extent of it. And I look forward to invite everybody out to the library Thursday night for the candidate forum. And that's it.
Okay. Gina?
Last week, Susie and I went to IMFOA the last 3 days. Got some good training there. We also went to a program put on by Dorsey and Whitney to learn a little bit more about TIF and urban renewal and all the stuff that our bonding attorneys do for us. We had a presentation about fireworks. That was one of the things. We also got a presentation from Ted Nelson with the Department of Management about budgets and backfill and all of those things. So that's still something that we should be thinking about and contacting our representatives on. But we are glad to go and got a lot of good information out of it to help us enhance our job skills. I'm working on our AFR, and that's my main focus right now. It's due by December 1st to the state. We will have it in the paper and have it to you guys before then for approval, as well as some urban renewal and TIF certification reports due December 1st as well.
This is your busy time.
Very busy, and budget will start next month.
Okay. I want to just do a reminder that we have the Chambers doing their trick or treat thing on the 31st from 4 to 5:30 downtown, and then it will be from 5:30 to 7 around town. And everybody's looking forward to that. I know the store owners put a lot of money into that, but they still enjoy it, and it's a fun thing that they do. I also had fun during our government week. That was a busy week. I had the chance to go to Mrs. Pink's class, 3rd grade class at St. John's. Had lots of interesting questions these kids do. At one point, they asked me if I had people following me around when I was in the public, and told them I wasn't quite that popular. So they wanted to know how big my office was. They were shocked if they wanted to know how old you had to be to run for office, and when I told them 18, they were totally surprised at that. I said, you got to be old enough to vote and such. So, but then I asked them a question, because I said, you know, there's times that my council will all talk at the same time, and they'll interrupt each other. So I asked them what they would do to that solution. And so they told me, they started out, they said, they do a clap like that, and everybody starts doing it till they're all clapping, and then everybody stops. Or their second choice was they turn the lights off in the room. So I told them, I says, well, my police chief sits close to that, so they told me I should get a signal with him so he'd know when to turn the lights off. But the other thing was they suggested that I make you all hold up your hand and be given permission to talk, or you're not allowed to talk. So they had some great ideas. It was a fun time. Before I left, they all had my telephone number because they were talking about things, and I said, well, I didn't know that was going on, and they said that they would call me and tell me. They did send me a nice little thank you card that they all signed for me. So it was a fun trip. I think we were together for about 2.5 hours. I didn't think their classes ran that long, so I don't know whether I interrupted something else too or not, but I got an escort from the front door to their classroom, and from their classroom back out to the front door so that I didn't get lost. So they were a great group of kids. I had a lot of fun with them and learned a lot from them, and so we need to do that government thing next week. Maybe we need to get council members involved in getting to see some of these people, or going to classes, or doing some of that stuff, because it was well worth it to do. So
I'd make a motion that you start the clapping thing effective the first meeting of January.
I'll second that.
How about the raising of hands?
You can turn the lights out too.
You don't want me to make you start raising your hand to talk?
You can do whatever you want effective 1st of January.
Anything at that point. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Didn't I, Dennis?
Denny's tried it, but she can't hear your hands.
No. He does that for votes, though, or such, so motions, but, okay, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
You got it.
I knew that hand was coming up.
I'll second him.
Second from Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Everybody have a good night. Thanks a lot.